Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the CFL DFS video for week number 18. If you're joining me for the very first time, first of all, welcome in. Second of all, this is how this week's video will be structured. We'll be going over my CFL DFS sheet for week number 18, going through all the teams that are playing this week. There's only 3 games in total. There are 3 teams that are on bye, so just keep that in mind as you build out your lineups for this week. Going to be a little bit of an interesting slate just in general. I'll be breaking down all the relevant players, whether or not I consider them a GPP option, a cash game option, GPP paydown, and then kind of a little bit if I will be overweight, underweight, or in line with the field, slightly overweight, slightly underweight. So just kind of a general overview of the slate. But if you guys do have any other additional questions, feel free to drop them down in the comment section and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. We are going to start off with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Zach Collaros at quarterback, $8,700, coming off a really strong performance. He is a GPP option, probably going to be slightly overweight to the field on him once again this week. We will ultimately see where the field lands on him in terms of ownership, so that should be a pretty interesting one, especially on a smaller slate. Then we got Brady Oliveira, running back. He is $11,400 GPP option, probably going to be in line with the field on him. Price tag is just a little bit higher. There are some value options out there running back this week, but is a very solid player at that. Moving down to wide receiver, start off with Nick Dominski, $7,800 GPP option if he does ultimately end up playing in this game. He's listed on the depth chart as a game time decision. Was limited in practice on Wednesday due to a knee injury. He's technically listed as questionable, so we'll keep an eye on that. If we get any other additional news, I'll leave that down in the comment section of this video, as well as over on my Patreon page. And then we got Kenny Lawler coming off a really big game, $4,200. He is a GPP paydown option, maybe even a cash game option this week with a smaller slate. We'll be overweight to the field on him once again. Ontario Wilson, $7,000. You know, if Nick Nowitzki's banged up, if he doesn't ultimately end up playing in this game, Ontario Wilson's going to look a little bit better as a GPP option. Probably going to be in line with the field on him. Definitely willing to take some chances there. Then Lucky Whitehead, once again, didn't practice all week due to that ankle injury. Technically, this is questionable. On that depth chart is the return man once again. So not really worried about him. You know, with some of these other options kind of banged up and potentially out, maybe he gets a little bit more run in this game. Pay down option if you want to go there on the smaller slate. And then we got Kedrick Wheatfall coming off a pretty decent game on his own right, $4,400 GPP option. Probably going to be in line with the field on him. Just kind of depends on ultimately where that field ends up being on him just in general. In terms of the Blue Bombers defense, $4,400 GPP option. Probably going to be slightly overweight to the field on them. There is some upside to be had there, although Bo Levi Mitchell's played pretty well most of the season after coming back from getting benched. So there is a little bit of downside at the same time. Blue Bombers defense playing a little bit better as of late, though. Then we move down to the Tiger Cats. We got Bo Levi Mitchell at quarterback, $10,600. Does have some decent high-end upside, has some low-end downside at the same time. He is throwing for a lot of yards, so that is one thing that kind of gives him a little bit safer floor than maybe some other times, but is a little bit prone to turnovers at times. Not really a mobile threat whatsoever, but GPP option probably going to be slightly underweight to the field on him. However, there is still some upside to be had there at the end of the day. In terms of the running back position, Greg Bell came back last week. He was kind of the main guy, but didn't practice Monday, limited in practice on Tuesday and Wednesday due to ribs. Was listed as doubtful. He's not on the depth chart, so it looks like James Butler will be the primary running back this week at $8,700. GPP option if you want to go there. Probably going to be in line with the field, maybe slightly overweight to the field on him this week. It has not been the greatest season for him overall. There's been a lot of things that kind of went wrong, and then it seems like Greg Bell has kind of surpassed him when healthy. Then we move down to the wide receiver position. Shamar Bridges, $8,700 out due to a quad injury this week. Mainly in terms of the wide receiver position, I'm looking at Keandre Smith and Tim White, $5,500 and $10,700 respectively. Will be slightly overweight to the field on Keandre Smith and probably in line with the field on Tim White this week overall. If you want to take some other chances, you can definitely do that. Desmond Patman is going to be active for this game. He's $2,900. If you want to take a kind of dart throw there, you could definitely do that as well. And then in terms of that Tiger Cats defense, they are a GPP option at $3,400. Will be slightly underweight to the field on them overall. They've been a little bit better as of late, but I still do have some concerns with them, especially going against this Winnipeg team overall that seems to be kind of clicking as of late. Then we move down to BC Lions. Nathan Rourke at quarterback, $10,400. GPP option will be in line with the field on him, maybe slightly overweight to the field on him this week. I think there is a little bit of leverage to be had there. At running back, if you want to get to William Stanback as a kind of a GPP option, you can definitely do it. I think it's a little bit more of a crowded backfield now than we kind of expected, but Jordan Terrell is on the active roster. He hasn't really done much since he's been active. And then they did trade for Jeshwan Antwi as well, who will be available for this team. He's listed on their depth chart, but he is not on DraftKings at the time of the recording of this video. Dave Mackey still on the 6-game injury list at fullback, so we move down to the wide receiver position. Keon Hatcher, GPP option, probably going to be in line with the field on him. Javon Katoy did not practice all week due to an ankle injury, was technically listed as questionable. He is not on the depth chart, so he's going to be out this week. Then Aiden Eberhardt's going to be like the other guy I'm kind of looking at as kind of a pay down option, slightly overweight to the field on him at $2,100. Alexander Hollins remains on that 6-game injury list. If you want to get Justin McInnis at $11,200, I definitely do understand it. So he's probably a GPP option, maybe in line with the field. I'll probably be slightly underweight to the field on him myself, just in general. And then, if you want to take a shot on any of these other guys, Barry Hill, Tahiti, Passant, you could do it, but there is a lot of risk at that end of the day with those guys, just in general. Then we move down to that BC Lions defense, $3,600. Haven't been the greatest as of late. It is a good matchup versus the Calgary Stampeders, though, so $3,600 GPP option might be slightly overweight to the field on them this week overall. Then we move down to that Stampeders team. We got Jake Maier at quarterback, $9,300. I'm not really getting to him personally this week. If you want to roll him out GPP, you can, but I will be underweight to him just in general. I'm not really playing him at all, so that is kind of your own choice if that's something you want to do. In terms of the running backs, we got Dedrick Mills, $6,000 GPP option, probably going to be in line with the field on him. He's kind of one of those cheaper running backs this week just in general. If you really wanted to get to Peyton Logan as kind of that return man, backup running back, you could definitely do that as well at $5,000. Getting down to the wide receiver position, though, Clark Barnes was limited in practice all week due to a knee injury. He was listed as questionable. He's not on the depth chart. He is on the 1-game injury list, so he will not be available for this game. Reggie Begelton, $9,500. GPP option, probably going to be in line with the field on him once again. There is some high-end upside to be had there with him. The price tag is still relatively cheap in comparison to what he's capable of, but it hasn't been the greatest season overall for him and the Stampeders team. Same thing could be said about Mark Michel. If you really want to roll him out GPP, you could definitely do that as well. And then Jalen Philpott, pay down option, probably going to be in line with the field on him. If you want to get there, it definitely makes some sense. And then you got kind of all these other cheap wide receivers, whether it is Cole Tucker, Ishmael Hyman, Cam Eccles-Looper. There is a lot of guys like that could potentially play a role in this game. And with it being a 3-game slate, maybe you take a chance on some of those guys. I'm just not personally doing it myself this week overall. It'd be very interesting to see if it's just Peyton Logan as the primary return man for both kicks and punts, or if they start using Cam Eccles-Looper and Ishmael Hyman in that regard once again, although Ishmael Hyman is coming back from that hamstring injury. Then we move down to the Stampeders defense, kind of a pay down option, $3,300. Not the greatest matchup in the world versus the Lions, so we'll be slightly underweight to the field on them just in general. Then we move down to the Rough Riders. We got Trevor Harris at quarterback, GPP option. Probably going to be in line with the field, maybe slightly overweight to the field on him, just because the run game is not going to be there quite as much this week. Raquel Armstead is out due to a shoulder injury. And then A.J. Alouette was limited practice this week, but he's going to be remaining out. So we'll see what that looks like for Trevor Harris and company. Obviously, their wide receivers are a little bit banged up too at this point in time. So a really banged up offense just in general. For that running back position, though, Frankie Hickson, I would assume would be the starter. We'll see what that depth chart looks like tomorrow. $5,800 GPP option will be in line with the field on him. And if you really want to take a chance on Thomas Bertrand Hudson, you can definitely do that. He had a pretty strong game last week after Raquel Armstead was out, but Frankie Hickson being back, he's probably going to be the primary guy, if I had to guess at this point in time. And then moving down to wide receiver, Sean Bain Jr. out this week due to a knee injury. Mitchell Picton was limited practice all week, had been on the 6-game injury list. He still does remain out, though. So mainly this week, we're looking at Keon Schaefer-Baker, $6,400 GPP option, probably in line with the field on him. Keyshawn Johnson is a GPP paydown option, GPP option, however you like to phrase it. I put in line with the field, but probably going to be slightly overweight to the field on him just in general. And then there is Dahil Duncan Busby. Really hadn't been doing much all season. Kind of performed pretty decent last game, though. And with Sean Bain Jr. out, he might get a little bit of a bump in that slot back role just in general. So we'll see what that all looks like. But those would be kind of the 3 that I would play this week overall. We'll see if anybody else does ultimately end up coming up from like their practice squad or anything else like that. In terms of the Rough Riders defense, $3,700 GPP option, probably going to be in line with the field on them. There is opportunities to be had against the Elks team, especially with their banged up receiver core at this point in time. Then we move down to the Elks. We'll start off with quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson, playing pretty well as of late, so $9,000 GPP option, probably going to be in line with the field on him once again. Running back situation looks a little bit interesting. Justin Rankins played really well as of late, so he's kind of a pay down option, probably going to be in line with the field on him. Javon Leake is back this week. He's technically listed as available. Was limited practice on Tuesday, full on Wednesday and Thursday due to that thigh issue. So we'll see what type of role he plays once he's back, if he ends up returning kicks, if he works into that running back rotation, what that all looks like this week overall. Then we move down to the wide receivers. Gavin Cobb's out this week due to a thigh injury. And then in terms of the guys that we're probably playing, mainly going to be Eugene Lewis and Tevin Jones, both kind of GPP options, probably going to be in line with the field on both them. Dylan Mitchell's coming off a strong week. If he's going to be the returner once again, he has a little bit more upside just in general, but $6,500. It's a little bit more than I like to pay. Like I said, once again, coming off a really strong week, so I expect his ownership to be up, so I'll be slightly underweight to the field on him. If you want to take a chance on Curly Giddens Jr., you can definitely do that as well. Last but not least, we have the Elks defense, $3,500. They've been playing relatively well as of late, outside of last week, which was kind of a dumpster fire, but I kind of have in line with the field on them. But with the Rough Riders injuries, could be slightly overweight to the field on them just in general. And then last but not least, the Alouettes, the Argonauts, and the Red Blacks are the 3 teams on bye this week overall. So that's a quick little rundown on the 3-game slate for week number 18. As always, if you have any questions related to CFL DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comments below. And then as always, I will be listing all the depth charts down there as well as any major news. We have 4 of the depth charts out already since this video is being recorded on Thursday. And we will get the final 2 depth charts prior to lock tomorrow, so going to be a pretty straightforward slate just in general. And then as always, my sheet will be updated on my Patreon page, so definitely be sure to check that out. Small monthly donation over there. Definitely some good content, whether it is CFL related, NFL DFS related, and then I do have my NFL matchup sheet as well as snap count spreadsheet over there as well. So definitely worth checking into if that's something you're into. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking it out for the very first time or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now we have the CFL DFS video dropping once a week, typically on Thursdays. And then I do have my NFL DFS player pool video dropping once a week, typically on Friday evening or Saturday morning. That ultimately kind of ends up depending on the week and kind of what else I have going on at that point in time. But definitely would recommend checking out that video as well. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting whatsoever, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for Prize Picks, Parlay Play, and BetUS. If you are a brand new user on any one of those 3 sites, when you sign up, make your initial deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. For Parlay Play and Prize Picks, it's 100% match up to $100, and then for BetUS it's 125% match up to $2,000. So some pretty great opportunities to be had out there. If you have any other additional questions related to that whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comment section of this video or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport, and be more than happy to help you with that journey. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for this week's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in CFL DFS for week number 18.